just say Al Gore's rhythm?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, tell me more.
Welcome back to Tell Me More with me, CJ Quarterbaum. Tell Me More exists to help bridge the gaps between generations and help create better leaders in this world. Today, I have two special guests. This is a live interview. This is going to be interesting and fascinating because the post this week was about making Gen Z trust you. And here I am sitting with two of my favorite members of Gen Z, Hunter and Rhea.
Where are your favorites?
Oh my God. All right, this is gonna be a fascinating episode. Please, tell the people about yourselves. Who are you, where are you from, and what do you do now?
Oh no, you can start.
No, you can start.
Okay. I'm Hunter. I'm a Scorpio. Sorry, I was told not to say that. I apologize. I'm a junior in college. There's not much more to me than that, really, at this point.
Where are you from?
Oh, I thought we were, okay. I'm
Right?
from New Jersey, from North Jersey. I'm a mechanical engineering major. Most of my free time is spent at the gym or in class, I would say. That's about it for me. Yeah, not really,
Thank you, Hunter.
Thank you. Oh my God. Hi, I'm Rhea. I'm also a junior in college. I'm an accounting major. I'm also from North Jersey. We've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
So that's why our demographics are the same. Most of my time is spent either in class or being a treasurer for my little student theater org. Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome to the podcast, both of you. We'll start with this question. How do you guys feel about your generation?
How much time you got?
The exasperated breath means there's a lot there. Go on, Hunter. Tell us about you and your people.
We're complicated. I would say that we have our pros and cons. I think a positive is that we are typically very outspoken. I would venture to say that a lot of us are a lot more free in our breaking of boundaries and social norms than previous generations. But I would say that also comes at a cost of respect a lot of the time. Or at least in the way that it seems to other generations. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah. To add to that, I think we're less willing to take people's shit. Can we curse on this podcast?
You can curse on this podcast.
We're less willing to take people's shit, kind of as Hunter was saying. I think, not that I was part of previous generations, but it seems like our generation on the whole is a lot kinder and a lot, I guess, more respectful in the way that sometimes previous generations weren't. More, again, kind of the way breaking social norms, like a lot more accepting of people that are different than us and not just putting them down immediately for being different, which I think is a good thing.
Are you guys more accepting or more accepting of people previous generations weren't accepting of?
I think a little bit of both. Definitely the second one, but I think I would like to hope on behalf of my generation that we are also just more accepting of people that are different than us. I feel like this is kind of, at least in my mind, been more of a point of thought of why do I judge somebody that is just different from me? Like, what is the reasoning there? Is it just because they're different and I don't understand that? So I'd hope as a generation we kind of are veering more in that direction. Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways you guys are. We've been running together for 3 years now, and I've been around this campus for the last 3 years. And I will say, I have noticed that there's more of a like openness to inclusivity and to welcoming other people in, but there's a line, and that line for your generation is politics. I accept you, I love you, I'm here with you until you vote differently from me. What's up with that?
I mean, I think a lot of it does have to come from the acceptance boundary, at least on, I want to say, a more liberal side. I can't necessarily speak from the conservative side because that's not really where I lean. But I would say it is an unwillingness to be tolerant of intolerance, to not match that. I mean, that's what I think it really just boils down to. It's not very complicated in my opinion, but yeah, I don't like to talk about politics. It's a very finicky thing, even though I have my, set place for it, my policies, but I really think it really just boils down to that. I don't think it's very complicated,
I agree with that.
You disagree with that? There's not much to say in my opinion.
No, you hit the nail on the head.
That's,
So we've had plenty of conversations about TV and stuff. We're recording this like in the honors college, so there are people walking around outside of us. So if you see me looking over, it's because I'm like a cat or like a dog. I'm just like, oh, what's going on over there? But a squirrel. Yes, I couldn't think of the right animal. Thank you. I watch Love is Blind. And I think every season kind of has this thing that kind of sticks out. There's like a through line of desperation on the show. Okay. But this season in particular, there's this emphasis on politics. Like they're in the pods and people are like, how'd you vote? Who are you voting for? How are you voting? I cannot date you, let alone marry you if you vote differently from me. And we can talk about this, the dating world. Do you guys encounter that a lot in your interactions in the dating sphere?
Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I cannot answer this question.
Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. I wouldn't even just put it to dating. I would just broaden it to say just relationships with people. A lot of people of this generation are very straightforward with, everything. So political beliefs being such a hot, just everything going on right now. Everybody's got a strong opinion on something, even if they don't know enough about it, but everybody's got a strong opinion on something. I think people are definitely unwilling to find common ground a lot of times, but there are times where I think it's healthy to set those lines, those boundaries, to know who you can be around without having to have the same potential conversations or pitfalls that you fall into over and over again. I don't think I know where that line is yet for me, and I don't think a lot of us know where that line is. I think it's just important that we learn that. That's really all I can say about it.
All right, how do you deal with this? Because dating is one thing, right? Like, I don't have to date you. But what about family? Because Gen Z is the generation that's like, boomer auntie, boomer grandpa, you think, you feel, you believe this? Yo, you out of my life.
Yeah. Do you want to speak on that first, or?
Unfortunately, being from an Indian family, it's never so easy to just cut somebody out like that. Honestly, for the sake of my own peace, I usually try and avoid political conversations with my family because I know which way they're gonna go. and I know there's no winning sometimes for me, so I'm like, okay, I kind of let that uncomfortable truth lie where it is, which I don't love, but again, like, I need to live my life. I can't just spend it arguing with everybody and just creating like unnecessary strife over the people I have to, like, with the people I have to live with.
I mean, I would say that I do that sometimes. I do. Oh, right, yeah. I will say there's rarely a dull moment in my house when it comes to politics. It's a mess. But I do try as best I can to have discussions and not debates with family members that I don't particularly agree with and their political alignment. I try to, as best as I can, take that as a learning moment. Just because I understand that these are people that I have in my life, and even though there is the possibility of cutting people out, it's not something that I want to do, and I think for giving people the benefit of the doubt and for my own personal growth, I think it's very important to just take everything with a grain of salt and really try to understand where people are coming from, as incredibly difficult as it may be sometimes, but that's a methodology that I've taken on recently, and I think it's helping me develop as a person, so yeah.
I think the fear for me, for your generation, in the realm of politics, is making it ultimate, where it becomes this like hard line in the sand. And at the end of the day, if you get sick and you're in the hospital, it might be boomer grandpa who votes differently from you that comes to visit you, not your favorite politician. And we might end up cutting off the people who love us and care for us, that we disagree on very fundamental things. But like, I know you love me, and you know I love you. And so how do we not let this thing that really only riles us up every 4 years, if we're honest, how do we not let this become the thing that breaks and divides us, as opposed to learning to live with our disagreements?
I gotta think about that. You wanna take this one?
I also have to think about that.
That's fine. Let's move on to something else.
Okay, all right.
You guys are a little over a year away from graduating and entering the workforce.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah.
So I have an internship for this summer. Knock on wood, it goes to a job. But I always knew that like what I am doing now was never like the end goal. Like, again, I said I'm in accounting. I'm going into tax. That's like the most boring shit you could ever do. You know, and I know it, but it's like, I like it enough to do it as a job, but I don't want to be doing it until I'm like 60. So I'm at a point where I'm trying to not plan my life out, because I think that's impossible to do beyond the next like couple of years. Even then, like, you never know what's going to happen. But sort of think about what the future looks like for me in the long run, and how I'm going to go from what I am doing to what I'd really like to be doing. I'd love to not be in tax. I'd love to like do something in theater. Like, I've been doing it here for the past year, and like being a business manager and all that, and it's like, it's my favorite thing in the world. I'm having so much fun. But even besides that, like, I don't know. I have an internship at Deloitte, and they're cutting their DEI initiatives, and I don't know what that really is going to mean for me, but I don't know. It's not a pattern I'm liking to see like other companies do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of us, and I feel like you guys, Gen Z, as a millennial, you're like our spiritual children. We walked so you could run. You know, how many, like, the average millennial does not work in the field that whatever their degree is in. Yeah. And so many of us, especially me, like, pushing 40, so many millennials in their 40s are all going through this midlife crisis of like, I don't want to keep doing this. Yeah. These are the things I want to do. And I feel like you guys are coming to that a lot earlier, just being like, I know I'm majoring in this, but I'm not trying to do it. What's the balance there? What stops you from just, I'm gonna go pursue theater? Just quit this whole tax thing.
Financial stability and my parents who are paying for my education.
Valid.
Because it's also like, I feel like I think of my dad, because again, he's paying for my time at college. Like, he's very much on the end of the spectrum of I need to try and make as much money as possible. And I'm not there, and I never was there, but I'm like, I kind of agree with him in the fact that, like, whatever I can do to make my life more comfortable, like money does buy happiness to an extent, you know, and I know that I would have a much easier time of it doing accounting than just going straight for theater, because especially like around here, like New York, like theater is rough, you know, it's a rough world, and like having hopefully like a safety blanket will help me to achieve what I want to in the long run.
I think it's kind of just a balance between, I'm not really going to say much, but I think it's just kind of the balance between what we need to do to survive and then what we need to do to live, in a sense, to sound corny about it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is, I mean, being an engineering student, that is what I'm passionate about, but it's not the only thing that I'm passionate about. I am that kind of person that is like very jack of all tradesy. It's like I want to do anything and everything that I can get my hands on. So it is kind of difficult for me to, I guess, have that conversation with myself of like, am I doing the right thing? But at the end of the day, I mean, it is something that I'm passionate about, and I think that by the time that I get, I don't want to say by the time that I get into the workforce, because it's, you know, it's like a year and a half away, but by the time that I get there, I think that it's something that I want to be doing enough that if my plans go elsewhere, it's not like I'm going to be miserable in the meantime. You know, I'm not just doing it because I'm like, okay, this is going to bring in money, this is going to put food on the table. It is something that I enjoy, and I'm fortunate enough to have found something that hopefully will be somewhat lucrative and, you know, be a passion of mine. But I think it really just is towing the line of, you know, what we want to do in our passions versus what we kind of need to do just to live. So I mean,
yeah. There was this, I think it was like an old Coors Light commercial, yeah, where it was like, here's to the other 9 to 5. And the whole premise of the commercial was like, you work 9 to 5 and then you get off and you go do the thing that you really love doing. And I think millennials, we took this idea of like the weekend warrior, and we were like, all right, but how can I get that other thing to replace the main thing so I don't have to do the main thing and I can just do the thing?
How can your passion project be your main thing? Yeah.
So like I was a finance major. Shouldn't have been a finance major. I wanted to be a journalism major, but my good immigrant mother, hi mom, said you need to do something that makes money. And I understand it, right? She immigrated to this country, she struggled to provide for her 3 kids, and she didn't want to see us struggle in the same ways. So she's like, you need to pick something that is going to be lucrative. I was miserable in finance from day one. And here I am writing, doing things like this, podcasting, but I collected a bunch of skills and experiences along the way that brought me to this point. So it could be for you, you start out in engineering and you pick up some things, but all those other things you like to do inform who you become. And when you're like 30, 35, 40, you're like, actually, I'm gonna go do this. And I've collected all these skills and can do it now.
Yeah. I mean, I hope to be developed enough or brave enough at that point to, if that time comes, I don't want to say when, but if that time comes, to go and pursue that. And I think that way of everybody, but, you know, in terms of just me, and I don't want to speak on behalf of you, but, you know, I think we all just kind of want to do that. I mean, I hope that we've put, yeah.
I think I was No, I think something that's cool about the people I've talked to and what their plans are for after college is people are already finding a way to mix their interests and have the stability but also have the thing they enjoy. So I know multiple people in like my theater company that are doing like HR and theater, and that's their plan. They want to go into HR but theater specifically. So that's their sort of their way to stay in theater and do something they enjoy but also have like the stability.
It's the intersection.
Yes, the intersectionality, which I think is super cool. Like people are like we're already thinking about that, like from day one, not just like, okay, I got to do HR, and then I got to do this, and then I got to do that. Like people are already thinking about how can I mix the way, like the things I enjoy with the things like survive
How
and
can
live.
I do it all?
Survive and live. Like how can I do that?
I think you guys grew up in a world where you watched everyone older than you be miserable.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want that. So you're figuring it out faster than a lot of the rest of us did. How do I get to this place of joy?
Yeah.
All right. So the topic for this week is make Gen Z trust you. I talk to a lot of people as I'm like shifting into this consulting world, and I'm like, hey, let me help you work on your like intergenerational workplace dynamics and all this. And every single person is like, we don't understand Gen Z. What's wrong with them? They come in like this and they do that. How do you guys feel about the older generations?
How do we feel about them?
I feel like it kind of goes back to the point of we're more willing to accept people that are different than us. Like, if there's a reason for why something is being done, like, then it's like, okay, sure, you know? But if it's just like, that's the way things are done, or this is like just the status quo, then I think Gen Z is less willing to just take that and go. Even in the workplace, you know? Like, I think of like the push to come back to work, you know, like come back to the office. Like why, you know? Is there an actual reason we need to do that, or is that just somebody older and somebody that's used to working 5 days in the office is saying that? Like why can't we do both? Or why can't it be this or why can't it be that, you know? But I think of that a little bit. I think we're more willing to kind of accept things, but it's also like we need like a reason.
I think it's the JP Morgan CEO was like, everyone needs to come back to work. All this working from home stuff is ridiculous. And it's like, I worked in finance. Every single job doesn't require you being in the office every day. Now, with that said, there is something for being in person and being together and getting those like water cooler conversations. But the idea that we all need, first of all, the 9 to 5 workday was made up anyway.
Yeah.
The 5-day work week was made up anyway. Yeah. So if the idea is maybe we should have a little more flexibility in how we do this, and you're just pushing back on that because it's not tradition, like that's dumb.
I agree. My internship is hybrid and I'm so happy.
I mean, I'm watching, like, so with everything that's happening with Doge right now, I know people who work in government and they were like, yeah, I work from home 3 days a week. I go in 2, and now I'm being told I have to go back in 5 days a week next week. Entire lives being upended. What do I do with my kid? My kid, you know, I would take them to school and pick them up. I can't do that now. You know, my commute is 3 hours long because I had this hybrid work thing. I didn't feel the need to live so close. And there's no reason for it. And I think your generation sees that and you're like, nah, we're good. I'll go work somewhere else.
I would say that it is nice to go into a place occasionally. Like for me, it's always great to have routine, but I think some people benefit from the routine of being home and doing the work, and that makes them more productive when they are on their own time. I think a lot of us are just trying to, I don't want to say optimize that time or optimize what we're doing, but in a sense, yeah, like if we found something that works well for us and we're getting it done, I think it's kind of pointless to change that. Everybody is very individualized in how they operate. So, I mean, I am of that viewpoint of if it ain't broke, I mean, you know, why try to fix it?
Here's my slight pushback.
Okay.
I mean this respectfully.
They don't.
mostly respectfully.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Your generation struggles with social skills.
We do. We do.
And so the idea of giving you the opportunity to lock away at home and only do your work and never have to interact with people, I don't think that's really helpful for y'all.
It's as a complete and total lockaway. No, I would say absolutely not.
Yeah.
Again, as an engineering student, it is very, very hard, like group project wise, to just like tap somebody in the shoulder and be like, hey, do you know what we're doing? Like, do you wanna be in a pair? Like, it's like they won't talk to you. They won't. It's like, and like I'm a guy. If you're a girl, I mean, forget it. They just don't know how to look at you. But that's another thing. But it's just, yeah, I would say we most definitely benefit from just kind of having some sort of social interaction. I mean, I don't know what exactly is happening there, because I'd like to think that I'm relatively well socially interactive. What are you laughing at me like that for?
Nothing.
Okay.
No, please, let her say. Why is she laughing?
No, please do.
I just think it's funny that you're like unsure. I think.
Well, I don't.
Are you done? Because I have something to say.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Please.
No.
Please.
I actually was getting tired, you know. No. I was thinking my experience also at college, in like the business school, our classes are a lot smaller and we have a lot of group projects. So they kind of force us to interact with each other, which, does that always turn out well? Like, no, but like for the most part, all the group projects I've done have been like all right, you know, like it has forced us to interact with each other, you know, and I think it's because they recognize that the workforce, especially in business, is just one big group project, so they kind of get that into us early. So I guess it just depends. Like, I think over the course of my time here, I've definitely had a lot of social interaction and like a lot of opportunities to do that.
You got to get in that networking practice.
Exactly, and networking.
Yeah.
And networking.
Networking is huge, because what we find is it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And as you're trying to progress in your career and jump from one company to another, because you don't make money by staying in the same place anymore. It is from those jumps. A lot of companies, like a lot of banks especially, if you want to make money and ascend there, you have to leave and come back. Yeah. It's the most ridiculous thing. So building that skill of being able to network is going to be really important for you guys.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna round this out, kind of bring it to a close.
Yep.
One of the big things I talk about at Tell Me More is the future. Looking out 25 years from now to 2050, the projections on life just look dismal. Mm-hmm. Like 2050, I'm gonna be 60-ish, 63, something like that. So, you know, I've only got like another 60 years left on Earth, but I'm not really working. I plan to live to 120, but I'm not really gonna be working like that. But you guys, that's the prime of your careers. What are you afraid of looking out toward the future, and what are you hopeful about?
I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, first of all.
Respect.
But in 25 years, I hope that I'm in a place where I enjoy where I work more than I think I will in accounting. I mean, I kind of talked about it, how this isn't, like, Deloitte is not the end goal, you know? But I hope I'm in a place where I'm able to pursue all of my interests. That's all.
I mean, I second that.
Yeah.
It's not really. I'd like to think that by the time we get there, right. I'd like to think that by the, like, you can't give me the mic because I just won't stop talking. I'd like to think that by the time we get there, it won't be the way that it is now. Mm-hmm. It won't be that you are working to survive. Personally, for me, I do hope that what I'm doing is something that I enjoy. Just, you know, like I go into work and it is not a chore. It really just is my passion. I just hope to be just happy in every aspect that I can be. And I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think that's, kind of the common ground that we all fall upon. I think we're just looking to be happy and not necessarily in a constant gratification way. Just
Content.
yes, content, challenged, but content. It's really all we can ask for.
I would make the argument that learning contentment is one of the keys to a successful life. Thank you, Hunter. Thank you, Rhea, for joining me on Tell Me More. And thank you for watching yet another episode. I'd love for you to comment. What are you feeling, hoping for 25 years from now? This has been another episode. I appreciate you. Like, subscribe, all the things that help with algorithm. And join me next week as I ask you to tell me more.